he could have been
higher.
2 spots. I think he could have been 6.
Because of what? Because of how wide his catalog is
Yeah,
right
and even
now?
I think he could have jumped above 7 and 6. We'll get to. What's up, everybody? It's Joe La Puma. You were watching the Complex Sneaker Show. As always, I'm joined by my 2 friends, my 2 co-hosts, the man of many hats. You never know what he's going to wear. What do we have, a Johnny Bananas one on today?
What is it?
Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas. Say that 10 times fast. Mr. Matt Welty.
It's a hot summer.
To my left, brought out the half cabs. Purple Demon Time emoji half cabs. I know they're a collab. I don't even know. We'll get to them. Mr. Brendan Dunne took a long sigh.
Here I am.
But he's here.
No hat, no cap.
That's it.
It's me.
We're here. Another episode. A lot of things to get to today. What are we hitting on today?
We have to talk about Olympic sneakers.
Yes.
It is Olympic season. I want to talk about also, in the same vein, the latest AE1 ad, Anthony Edwards and Adidas.
Yep.
A little too much.
LeBron 22, Nike Ja 2.
Yeah.
Our boy Salehe has a not new gig, but a new partnership with Puma, and we're going to get to, in that vein, the power rankings of sneaker collaborators.
We're back.
We are back. We got the schedule was a little wonky.
A little shifty.
Yeah, a little shifty.
A little shifty, not
popped
shady.
Up on a Tuesday, popped up on a Tuesday.
Oh, and we should address that. I know because people are asking, as you're watching this now, but the podcast is not shifted to Tuesday.
No,
that was just a special occurrence.
Yeah.
It was a one-off.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Never again.
No, we'll never say never.
Unless there's a breaking, some very intense piece of news.
Exactly.
Like something new hits Pacer and there's a lawsuit that I'm thirsting to get into.
And you know he will. But yeah, back to regularly scheduled programming. Friday morning.
Yeah.
Summer. Heart of summer. Blast us loud. Clean the crib. Go on a long walk. We're here.
Yeah, not totally regularly scheduled programming, kind of bi-weekly over the next couple months. We know you want more of us, but that's just the way it is right now. We will be here for you on Fridays when we can. Expect us roughly every other week.
Absolutely. It's a summer. Can we enjoy our summer? I like a glizzy on the grill as much as the next guy.
Let me just say,
okay? Can I have some time off?
Give Joe some time off, but also I want to give a PSA and we love reading the comments and interacting with them, but this is not at all motivated by the different places I'm going. I saw a high rated comment on one of the YouTube episodes being like, these guys take every other week off just to accommodate Brendan Dunne going to Paris or Oregon or Amsterdam. That has nothing to do with that. I am here to shoot every single Tuesday. That has never affected this.
Some of the beaches that you have your toes in the sand, do they have proper Wi-Fi? I could see.
I'm 10 toes down for this.
Okay.
If anything.
Okay.
I
do remember, wasn't the Wexler episode, where you were via satellite? He was in some...
Yes, but we were still fully remote as a company. I was in Joshua Tree.
Okay.
I was on a vision quest.
Okay.
I had to get my mind right.
Yeah, you were discovering yourself.
I might have to do that all over again.
Me too.
Believe that. Hey.
Believe that. See?
Olympics.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards.
The man.
Yes.
Let me preface it.
Ant-Man.
Still the man.
The
Shoe, great.
Ant-Man.
We know.
Yeah.
The
Low
Ant-Man.
tops.
They're all great.
Anthony
Also, he's
Edwards
having
Adidas
fun
shoe.
out there with KD, Easy Money Sniper. KD.
And also, he was chefing it up for Curry.
And crushing it. The ad, though. Are we going a little too much?
It's like the joke's kind of like run its course.
Oh, do you feel that way?
A little bit.
I totally agree that Anthony Edwards Adidas shtick is getting a little bit old at this point. I think all the marketing around Anthony Edwards' first Adidas shoe, the AE1, was great. But I think at this point, they are beating a dead horse, and it's the same formula. And also, because Anthony Edwards is in the Olympics, again, playing his heart out, he's not even in the latest ad, and it's his guy who's taking all these thinly veiled shots at other players on the team, which is a spicy...
Wemby going to drop a hot 16 like Cam?
It's a spicy campaign, but it's something we've seen before. And Anthony Edwards isn't even in the thing. I'm like, okay, Don't get to, and this is a message for Adidas as a whole, with not just the campaign around it, but Anthony Edwards' shoe. You were successful. The first shoe was amazing. It's a huge moment for your brand. I hope you can capitalize on it in the future, but let's do something different. 2 is coming.
And the thing that we were talking about yesterday, you know how I agree with this? The proof is in the pudding. I think there was diminishing returns on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really see many people talking
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
what I mean.
Yeah, the return on
And
investment is going
they're
down.
surgical, though. Didn't they drop it during the game? Did they drop it during the game? I might be wrong.
I don't know. I haven't actually been tuned into the Olympics like that.
You haven't been watching? Did you watch? Are you going to watch USA men's basketball?
If it's convenient for me and my lifestyle.
Okay, well, you're never invited to Barclays courtside anymore then.
I feel like
If you can't even watch that men's and women's, you're not, no.
No, really?
You're not
revoking
allowed.
my
I
feel like
pass?
it's tough.
No, you're
'cause
not
it's
allowed.
I
like
can't pop
the-
out at Finney
all
Pizza.
the-
Courtside. No,
all the-
you can't.
all
You
the-
can't.
all
No
the-
hot honey.
all the Olympics basically air while you're at work, and
Mm-hmm.
I think watching sports at work is kind of weird.
We're here to work.
Yeah, we're here to
well,
work.
Well, I'll push back on that. The first game was Saturday. No, the first game was Sunday. We're not at work, even though we're always working. Also,
I was taking
they
a
put a
nap.
TV right where Jillian sits. They put a TV that
We got
you can
things
look.
to do. You think I'm focused on that while we're writing, putting out the content for the people?
This
I
is
did
Joe
this.
miming,
I did
blurbing, and watching.
I did this. Multitask. Closing a
As
deal.
patriotic as possible is what I expect Welty to be. So I did think you would be a little bit more
Come
invested
on.
in the Olympics than you are. There's not some niche sport that you can heck yeah over.
Yeah.
There's not some guy
Water-
rolling
water-
a
water polo?
oblong ball toward a small
Exactly.
goal.
Water polo?
There we go.
Okay.
It's a fun
On
sport.
your true northeastern guy stuff. Is
Just
that
like-
right? That feels very.
Maybe. I feel like it feels like more like Serbians and Croatians trying to like drown each other in pools, but
Oh,
It took a turn.
that's.
It took a turn.
I know
Took a
very
turn.
little about that.
Not water polo. I played intramural water polo at UConn.
Really,
Yeah,
in
in tubes.
We need the footage.
Yeah, you do.
Good burger.
It was in tubes.
Good
because
burger. Fine. I don't want photos.
Yeah.
I want video. I want video of Joe La
Good
Puma.
Burger birthday week. Shouts to him.
Yeah.
Find the footage from the Yukon pool. Obviously, you couldn't tread water. I couldn't tread water that much. So
What do you mean? Obviously.
what you played in like the shallow end?
What do you mean? Obviously.
no.
As
Played in
a
a kiddie
grown
pool?
man playing a water
no,
sport, you should be
inner
able to tread
tubes.
water.
Inner tubes.
Oh, come on.
Inner tubes, and then you would just pass. You know me.
Speaking of Olympics though,
I was goal hunting as usual.
Yeah, let's get back on sneakers.
LeBron 22
yeah,
debuted at the Olympics.
yeah. I'm always happy to see a big shoe like that debut on the global stage.
Big shoe, big swoosh.
Do we like it?
Kind of.
Yeah. What I realized this weekend, I have like a soft spot for Olympic colorways.
Okay.
Of course.
You know,
I mean, we put out the best Olympic shoes. Go read that list.
Yep.
just yeah. I like a lot of them. I think that colorway, you know, you put it in. I don't put it in like the black and red or like but it's right there in kind
It
of like
hits.
the color. Yeah.
The LeBron 22, I like the idea of it a lot, but I don't think the swoosh reads too well coming across the side like that. And like, I think it's a clever placement and how it turns up like that. It just,
Like digs into the midsole a little bit.
it just almost looks like a banana slug sitting on the side of the shoe there. It just doesn't look that elegant to me.
This is him
What?
texting with Tinker Hatfield.
Tinker
Okay.
hasn't responded to my text in a
I
long
love-
time. Let's
I
not
love
let's
the
not
critique.
overblow that
I
relationship.
love the critique, but this
That's not a
is-
close friend of mine.
What's the guy, Nathan Van Hook?
Yeah,
You
Nate
talk-
Van Hook.
this-
Nate Van Hook will answer my text.
Okay,
messages.
this is him where maybe you and I are sending UFC memes.
Should I text Nate right now?
Okay, you and I sending UFC memes, some
Yeah.
other memes. He's talking design language. He said this. What did he say? The swoosh bleeds over. Good for him. We need that insight.
Let's not
I'm
get
just
Nate
saying,
Van Hook in trouble, but let me text him. Do we like
It's
the
different. Want me to
LeBron
hook-
22?
You text him. Want me to FaceTime Wale and see
Wait,
if he'll
do you
about
like-
it?
Who
hold on.
responds first?
Do you like the shoe?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Would you wear it?
To play ball?
No, I mean, would you wear it?
I don't really wear that many basketball shoes.
As
out.
he juts his calves out with the CDG
I
phones
haven't.
on.
I haven't.
The text
worn-
is sent. I asked him, do we
Okay.
like the LeBron 22 on the record?
So you wouldn't wear it?
Nate, I
Brandon?
warned you. We're on the record.
You wouldn't wear it?
No, I wouldn't wear the
Would
LeBron
you wear it?
22.
Probably not.
Oh.
It's not. I don't think it's offensive shoe though.
I'm not offended.
I just wouldn't wear it. But the other shoe that we saw,
Yes.
literally two, the Jaw 2,
Yep.
Yes.
it got debuted at a celebration for him at Murray State, his alma mater. Do we like that shoe?
Yes.
It's tough for me because it just doesn't look that different from the general Nike basketball sneaker shape right now. The
Not
general
even Nike
contemporary-
basketball,
Yeah.
just basketball shoe shape. That
Yeah.
whole like mid-cut, not generic, but
It's just
generic.
tough for me
Techie
because I don't
performance shoe.
play basketball and I don't wear basketball shoes off court. But
Yeah,
to me, it may sound weird, but I feel like the players make the shoes look good.
sure.
So I
I'm
think
not
the
gonna do
LeBron
it.
22 looks great on him and looks great as a basketball shoe.
Even with the swoosh, like I said.
Yes, even with the swoosh, 10 degrees to the left, a little too much, and the stitching. And we didn't see the John Morant shoe on foot.
Is
but
he on Team USA?
No.
Oh, so you won't see that shoe at the Olympics? Not even like the shooting teams, like the Pistoliers or anything like that?
What were you going to say?
No, I was so I went to Foot Locker a couple of weeks ago, and you're looking at the shoe wall and where all the products placed, and I was surprised at how far down the wall Nike stuff was, and Nike basketball even further down the wall. At the top of the wall, it's all On, Hoka, New Balance, Asics. That's like the majority of the selection there. But when I got to the basketball section and you see kind of all the mid-cut shoes that look similar-esque, I just got a feeling that I'm like, these are definitely marketed towards kids.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that they're not, but like I really
No,
felt
you're
like
saying that they are.
I felt like I was a bit in like Toys R Us. I felt like
I
I was
don't think that that's so far off because most of the basketball shoes I bought on court were when I was playing basketball. St. Patrick's CYO.
As a younger man.
But I feel like
Doubles.
the shoes back in the 90s though,
Yes,
they
but that was golden era.
they didn't feel like they were kid shoes.
Yeah, but you were a kid in the 90s.
Yeah.
I get that, but I'm saying even looking back objectively, they didn't feel like they were just marketed towards like 12 and 13-year-olds. I feel like when I went to saw those shoes and all the colors that they're in, especially when you see what everything else that's on the wall, it was like a clear like delineation of like, these are the trends right now. And here are like the bright purple and orange and neon green.
Well, it's a good conversation because Salehe Bembury, news out of Paris.
Our own Ben
Breaking news.
Felderstein was on
Ben
the ground.
Felderstein on the ground reporting like Woodward and Bernstein. Here's the quote that we got from. Okay, here's the quote.
Big
Am I
J
wrong?
Journalism Week.
Okay, here's the quote that we got from Salehe Bembury, who just signed a new partnership with Puma. The basketball landscape has remained the same for the past 30 years. I haven't seen any other brands embrace change like Puma. He made
Bro.
it clear. What?
That's like, come on.
Oh,
No, I mean, Puma's the first brand to like change the game in basketball. Like, what are we talking about?
I would disagree with the sentiment that Puma has embraced change like no other brand. I would disagree with that sentiment. But I don't disagree that there needs to be change in the basketball sneaker market.
I think that that's a fair thing to say, but to say that Puma is the one changing the game in basketball is just.
to be fair, he was at the Puma event.
I get it,
You
but-
know, what was he gonna say?
I mean, there's plenty of other things you could say. You know what I mean?
that are a
Like,
little more closely
but-
aligned with the truth.
How do we feel about this? I think that this is a big challenge for Salehe.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
out of his comfort zone, and someone whose shoes, to me, look different than any other shoes that are being put out. From that's his whole.
He's very good at
design-
that. He's very good at
well,
making things
design
that
it's
look
DNA.
different.
interesting because he's not just a collaborator in the sense that he's done colorways before, but he's not just a colorway guy. Like
Right.
he's
Yeah.
an actual footwear guy. Like he's
A
made
designer.
yes,
Capital
he's-
D designer.
He's made original sneakers from scratch in the past. But
for a bunch of different brands.
But I would say the majority of those shoes, for the most part, even though maybe you could use them for purposes, have been mostly lifestyle centered shoes, Versace, Anta. I mean, I don't know, something like Crocs, if you could kind of consider that performance where like you're making it for the function of the foot, but
Well, I mean, every shoe is for the function
True.
of the foot.
well, some kind of aren't, but
I don't
I'm
know
excited
what
about
you're
it.
talking about.
I'm excited about it.
Yes.
I am.
And I salute him for embracing that challenge. I think that's going to be probably his toughest role yet. I mean, I don't know everything about what Salehe does and the challenges he faces at these different brands. I think that this is probably the hardest hill for him to climb, and I salute him for leaning into that. And I think it's a great look for him also because it's a non-exclusive partnership.
Yep.
Yes.
And I love that we're in this era of the designer. And I think that this is something that Salehe has really championed and been about of like, you can't tie me down. I'm not a person who's going to stick with just this one brand. I have enough to give the world to where I should be able to give it to the world through Vans, through New Balance, through Crocs, and hey, through Puma as well if I want. So I salute him for that. I look forward to the footwear. I do think, yeah, it's a new lane for him. Basketball shoes, performance shoes like this.
My boy said, "You're not signing me to a 360." No, but to your point, and what I really like about this is a challenge. And Salehe, let's think about it. What Salehe doesn't have many bricks at all.
I would say the tough thing is just
Think about it.
You're right.
I would say the tough thing about it is that I feel like, you know, in the past you've seen people, Kanye's tried to make a basketball shoe. I mean, he's made a basketball shoe. Jerry Lorenzo has been on this quest to like make the perfect shoe that's basketball and style. And I feel like to some extent they all kind of fell short of like the promise, not the promise, but like the hope that a lot of people had that if you get one of these like non-traditional sneaker designers that have like the pulse on what the culture wants and then bring them into the sport, that they're instantly just going to craft something that's going to be tiers above everything that we've seen before. And then kind of it doesn't really shake out that way.
Definitely not something we should expect instantly, but I do think Kanye West was the closest in delivering on that. I don't think it's impossible to do. I think maybe Jerry Lorenzo's Fear of God one at Nike is one of the better examples of that.
But if you take any of those shoes, right? If you take the Yeezy basketball shoe, you take the Fear of God, and you just compare it to a Kobe 6, which had no intentions of being this streetwear shoe, even though it kind of ended up becoming it through colorways and all of that in the long run, that it's
a good point.
I don't know. It's just like the design expectations are a little different, where it's like if you're just like going out to make something that looks super cool versus trying to make something that's super functional,
One
and
suffers.
that looks cool in the long run.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of maybe miss it. I don't know.
I'm excited for it. Interested to see what Salehe does. I thought there was a Salehe Jordan brand rumor floating around at one point, but maybe that won't pan out.
I thought I saw that.
He's not locked in. You never know.
I don't think. I mean, this is pure speculation. Again, I'm only referencing a rumor or a shred of information that one of us may have passed around at one point. But I feel like Nike is one of the brands where, and Comme des Garçons is a exception here, where you can't do that type of work with Nike if you're doing work with New Balance and Vans and Adidas as well.
Although James Whitner,
there are exceptions.
Just put out a New Balance shoe.
There are exceptions for sure. Can I make one little follow-up note on we were talking about LeBron's briefly. We don't have to go over the whole grandma's couch argument again, but remember I was saying if anybody can give us any evidence that at one point that shoe was officially called that. Somebody did say to me, someone who works at a sneaker retailer, that early on when retailers had the opportunity to buy into the LeBron 21 in that floral colorway, that originally it was labeled LeBron 21 GC, presumably for nothing else but grandma's couch, and then didn't show up as that later on. So there is some little shred of info as if they did change it in response to the small controversy. Controversy is too strong a word, but small feedback around, hey, you ripped off my shoes from Phil at Unheard of. Just wanted to follow up there.
Okay.
I like to play catch up. There's other things we could play catch up on, but we're too late now. Odell Beckham, I get lawsuits. I love that stuff.
He does. He tried to, and that's what he does. That's what he does. But yeah, real quick, Odell.
Nike lawsuit. Yeah, we don't have to get into it. I would say if anybody wants to know more about this, they should read the work of Demi Lawrence at the Portland Business Journal. She's done the best reporting. She was there at the courthouse when this decision came through, and she, I think, has understood this thing better than anybody else. So she had a follow-up with Odell's lawyer talking about why Odell's team saw it as a win, where Nike is also calling it a win for them. So read
it's
her
basically
work.
The win is no one owed anyone money. Is that the win?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too deep on this one and the actual judgment on it, but like, basically, it was kind of a draw, but now, as I understand it, Odell is off the hook for the counterclaim that Nike threw at him because he sued Nike, and then Nike had a counterclaim against him, and he was looking at way more potential downside through the counterclaim, and now, as I understand it, he's absolved of that.
He's been wearing a lot of Asics. What if Asics...
Odell Beckham Jr. has been wearing Asics?
Yes. What if Asics...
I mean, Stephon Diggs also...
That's what I'm saying. What if the Asics becomes the hotshot wide receiver of the NFL. Would you like to see Odell go to Asics? How would you feel?
I mean,
you were a little lukewarm on Stephon Diggs.
Not that I didn't predict the Asics, not the wave. What's the best way to put it? The Asics trend has taken off way bigger and spread much further than I kind of would have ever expected.
For sure.
Especially the 1130 shoe.
And Kayanos, the amount of those that I see on the train, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that. Or guys who run sneaker resale shops in New York and just posting a new pack of Y2K runners from Asics.
So I just never expected it to kind of spread outside of, kind of the sneaker nerdum lane, and then you just see the shoes everywhere. So, obviously good on Asics for that. Stephon Diggs and his brother Trayvon Diggs have that Cumulus pack that has the charm beads on the back. Frank Cooker worked on those shoes. I thought they came out really good. So,
would you like to see Odell on the Asics roster?
Hey,
maybe you hit the gritty.
Well, the thing is that they don't make.
Would you hit the gritty?
Well, the thing is that they don't. So Asics doesn't make performance footwear for the NFL. So that's just not a thing.
Got it.
But I think the important question is, and just to dial in on it, is would you hit the gritty?
Yeah.
Just because we don't want to let people dodge the question.
Sure, why not?
What if you were the fourth?
He's moving around like Scott Cutler, cutting left or right, trying to dodge the
I was
questions.
like, come back to it. What if you were the fourth? I could see you tight end, and then you're the fourth person hitting the gritty in the Pro Bowl.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Sure, why not?
Okay. We have a topic to get to.
Yes, we do.
And it surrounds some
lot
stuff.
of this.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that we've talked about. But
wait, what's the topic? Are we going to do 60 minutes on me breaking down shoe surgeon Nike documents?
Thank God. No.
Please.
You could do that. You going?
I'll host a space on X.
Yeah, exactly. IG Live.
You can start a sneaker podcast with Judge Judy.
Ooh, could be big.
Classic quote. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. I may bring that back out.
Isn't that what happened to Drake?
What shoes are we wearing?
Welty. Oh, Welty's motioning to me. I am wearing the Carpet Company Vans half cab.
Oh, Carpet.
Yeah, my guys.
They are your guys.
This is a sentimental shoe for me for a lot of reasons.
Let's hear it.
I'm always happy to see them win. I haven't done Vans in a long time, let alone half cabs, but
I feel like you did Vans like kind of.
Was I wearing Vans on the show recently?
Not that, but I always feel like it's one of those things that you randomly will pop out in a pair of Vans.
Yeah, you know what? They had Our Legacy Vans from maybe like 6 or 7 years ago that I did a fair amount. There was a black pair and then an orange pair. And one time on Halloween, I even did the black on the left and the orange on the right.
You little devil.
Just
getting mischievous.
Vans, Carpet Company, Steve Caballero, half cab, awesome campaign. And also a shoe that goes so deep for me. Our coworker, Mike DeStefano, was like, do we like these? I'm like, Mike, listen, I can't possibly be anything close to unbiased on these. And one of the reasons for it is that actually my oldest friend from college designed this shoe. He worked at Vans at the time when they were working on this project. The guy who I met.
Designed
Scott,
what shoe?
Designed this shoe.
When
designed
are
this
these
collaboration. These just came out.
Your oldest friend at college
works at Vans.
Wow.
Yeah. Or he just left Vans. He's got a new gig in the footwear industry now, but he's bounced around to a lot of places. Shout out to
I didn't
Scott.
know that.
Love you. Yeah, I'm deep in the footwear industry. You
That's
knew
cool.
that.
Did you know
that
that?
I was deep in the footwear industry.
I think you've told me about him once. It sounds familiar.
I think you've probably met my friend Scott.
That's
but yeah.
cool.
Literally a guy who, like, first day of orientation, it's that moment in your life where you could just walk up and talk to anybody without any pretense or any motivation.
Yes.
And I was like, "What's up, man? I'm Brendan."
Look
Scott.
at that.
We went to Fred Meyer's together. You guys don't know anything about that, but
but that's cool. And you love Carpet. You always have the Carpet tee, and I noticed that you wear the tee when you do appearances. The last one, I think, was it the Fox? Unfortunate, the Fox News thing.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah. Was it that?
Wow, that's a real full circle
What's
moment.
better, the shoes
Loved
or the
everybody
bouncy ball
involved.
that came with them?
Those carpet bouncy balls, I've had them for a while, so those
okay.
weren't part of the shoe, but I've been passing them out around
He's
the
been
office.
juggling
bouncing
the
them
ball.
around?
Yeah. He's been juggling the balls the whole week at the office.
Oh?
You have. Don't lie. Sorry. Cut it, but you have.
No, keep it in. I
keep
don't
it in.
care.
He was
I don't
giving
care.
out balls to everyone.
Speaking of
Not the energy drink either.
Speaking
you
of-
guys don't know anything about that
speaking of actual carpet, as you've already torn up the carpet.
This is what I do. Sorry to anyone. I'll
Shake the
vacuum
table,
it.
move some
But
furniture around.
sometimes establish dominance. And I don't mean to do it. Everyone in the production rooms knows I don't mean to do it, but Yeah, CDG foam posits.
You were thirsting so hard for this shoe.
Thirsting is the right word. My boy PG knows him and I were exchanging texts. I think he had the christening. Sorry to bother you on the weekend of the christening.
It was great.
You went?
Yes.
You put a Tom Ford on?
I didn't put on a Tom Ford, but I dressed
Okay.
appropriately for the situation.
Okay.
steamed out the J. Crews.
Can never,
Had the buddy
can
lead
never
looking
just
crisp.
play ball. But
Just wore some polo chinos.
me and PG knows we're going back and forth.
He put out the bat signal for you.
Anyone in the city have them? No one had 11, my size. No one had them in the city. My boys Aaron and Joel from here tracked them down. Shouts to Tanner and Co. Hooked them up. They came straight to feet.
Comme de Garçon,
Love
Nike
'em.
Foam Posit. A couple different people in the office had them before
Yes,
you. Free
yep.
Walker is one of them.
Yep, she had them before
Speaking
me.
of-
She
I don't
had
like
'em.
that shoe that much.
Speaking of,
What? Yeah, you guys don't like them. I like them.
The first ones are better.
I got both, so it doesn't matter.
speaking of people
Well,
in the
I had the first
office,
ones before they
I know
released.
that I foreshadowed it or tried to predict it.
I know.
Don't. This is
No, I don't
Last-
care because who? Yeah, go ahead.
Last podcast, I had said I had a feeling that the yellow Sunders were going to be a big shoe this summer. There's going to be one of those shoes where you, in the office, you just see it everywhere. I'm not
Sunder
saying-
Summer. Endless
Yeah.
Sunder.
And I think
Yeah,
we've
that's
seen
a
at
good
least five
Thank you.
different pairs.
And
It's
they
like
all
it-
hit.
It's everywhere.
Every single person who wears them, they hitting.
Are we getting the pink pair, Joe?
The Pink Panthers.
You saw Trinidad step out and
I know.
Trinidad's in town right now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I might have to grab dinner with them.
Okay, where are you going to go? Don Pepe's? The pink ones. I don't know. I've been buying a lot of shoes.
I bet,
Buying
yeah,
too many
same.
shoes.
I
I'll
bought
tell you
some
what I need.
Hokas, bought some
Straight to
Air Maxes.
camera.
What?
Anyone who's listening in Tokyo, please.
Oh yes.
The Atmos Tokyo 991s.
I saw
Cheers.
you post these in our Slack channel, and I was
Yeah,
like,
no
"Why
one
is he?
responded.
Why is he?"
No one responded.
I was like,
It's
"Why is
okay.
he so hyped about these? What about
Oh.
that shoe has you jazzed?"
He likes black and pink sneakers.
that simple
Yes.
man.
I love that color combo, and I love those. I need
Remember
those.
there was the Japan exclusive Air Max 95s that he
Got 'em.
got, the black and pink pair.
Air Max
Yes,
180,
you're right.
CDG 180s,
Yes.
black and pink.
There you go.
You know one
Pink
shoe I'm
et cetera.
surprised that you have not gotten because you went back and got the Cav Emped Air Max
Yes.
95s.
I still need to pick those up.
Semi-recent Air Max 95 that didn't hit so much when it came out, but I feel like you would probably like a pair and do well in them.
Okay, do well. Go get straight A's. Go ahead.
Carhartt Camo 95s.
Don't like those.
Why not?
I don't like orange that much. Have you guys seen me in orange that much?
Not
my thing.
I don't know. But remember, by the way, we got to take a little bit more credit because remember I said Levi's 95s on here, and then a
Yep.
couple weeks later someone posted a
Knocked
SKU
them
or
up.
something like that. You know, I said
Blue denim?
the ruby red slipper Wizard of Oz OSB dunks. A couple weeks later, we might just have to
He knows. We
have to
might
lean on
need
that
to
stuff
pay
a little.
attention to him.
a little bit more.
Do you know what it looks like, though, or no?
What?
The Levi's? Blue?
I don't know too much about it. Way to undercut me, right?
Who, me?
Speaking of
Wait,
blue,
sorry. Speaking about blue,
Yes.
another collaborator.
Yeah,
Joe Freshgoods
Bluey.
990 V6. These are the prom pair.
What does that mean?
Theme, there's the blue pair and the red pair, and it's the theme of going from prom to Paris. That's just kind of
Did you go to prom?
No.
Did you?
No.
Neither of you went?
I had a lot of reasons to abstain.
You didn't see the ad campaign for these where like
Okay.
the couples in like the baby blue prom outfits? No.
I missed it.
I went to prom. Not that one, but I did get the red pair.
You going to Paris?
I'm not going to Paris, but prom was a good time.
What do we want?
Prom was a great time, except real quick, and then okay. So prom after party in Montauk.
Yeah.
Everyone rented hotel rooms.
Wow.
Okay, and
Did your parents know?
yeah, the biggest thing was you didn't want to mess up the hotel room because you would get your security deposit back, and no one had money at that time.
Mm-hmm.
My security deposit did not come back because my good friend Joey Coughlin dropped a stink bomb in my room right before inspection. Remember the stink bombs?
Yeah.
The worst. The little glass stink bombs, and I didn't get
You
the.
didn't throw them off the balcony?
I almost did.
I need
I
this
almost did.
because we're so far from sneakers right now.
I'm sorry, but
No,
this is
no.
a lifestyle podcast too. And you're going to bring up prom. I'm not going to talk about the stink bomb situation.
I need this to go full circle some moment in the future where you get the opportunity to design your own prom pair of shoes, maybe a New Balance, and you add some stink scent into the box.
Okay.
Put Joey Coughlin in the lookbook.
My boy.
All
Closest friend, Joe and Joey. I wore the Sunders in the yearbook ad with Joey that my parents took out.
Wow.
Fun fact.
Big topic.
Yes. Big topic today. We talked a lot about collaborators on complex.com. This list dropped. We've been talking about it a lot when we're going to do it. It finally dropped. The top 25 power rankings of sneaker collaborators.
So when we say that, kind of to qualify it, go
Yes.
a little bit off the top. It's not just who has the hottest shoe right now or who did the best collabs this year. It's saying which collaborators have the most juice with the audience and the brands.
Perfect way to describe it. Yeah, we thought a lot about the criteria, and I kept getting caught up on this word power, and to me leaning a little bit more toward like how much power they have at the brand and what kind of resources they have at the brand. But it's about more than that. It's not just about this brand considers this person a big partner, so they're going to give them a ton of SKUs. It's about how also does the audience receive it? Is there buzz around it? Do people care about it? Is it reselling? Because we do feel like that's an okay barometer for how much people are interested in these sneakers. So those were the criteria that we thought about when making this list. People love lists. We've been debating a lot of lists on here. I'd rather spend an hour talking about court documents, but we're here with another list.
Yeah, and we're going to go through, it's 25 of them, so we'll talk
Might
about...
breeze over some of them just for time's sake, but
No offense to anybody included.
no.
Absolutely. Number 25, should we just start?
Yeah, Marcus Jordan.
Trophy room Marcus Jordan.
it's like a dark horse choice where it's like literally the red pill or the blue pill. Like, which one are you going to take? Like, which path? Like the kind of the Smurfs meme where it's like you can go.
We went to the Matrix and prom and Smurfs.
Where it's like which path you can go on. It's either the dark castle or the sunny pastures.
Don't get red pill. Be careful.
Which path did Marcus want to go?
Yeah.
Marcus could have been a top 10 collaborator on this list.
Yeah.
'Cause
Definitely has the resources, definitely has the juice, and he makes good shoes. Yes.
But
he makes great shoes.
He's the 25th ranked collaborator on this list.
Yeah. I mean, it hurt his reputation early on, the backdooring fiasco and scandal around the original Trophy Room Jordan ones. I think he's earned a lot of goodwill back, but I think even with that, none of the shoe
It's a long, arduous road.
Yeah, and none of the shoe scents have been as interesting.
The one low was okay, but it was okay.
Yeah, it's been hard for him to match that first shoe. So it's tough to put him too high. And he's somebody who has...
Well, not his first shoe. He had the 5s and...
Excuse me. Whoa. I was way off. Way off. Not the Trophy Room Jordan one, not his first shoe by a long shot.
Which also, when I have people on sneaker shopping, they always point out, I like that. So like he does have a catalog.
But also you have to say he's somebody who has kind of a limited range because you're really just going to see the Jordans from him.
But he has a limited range, but he also has another level of access. So especially when you talk about power, the things that he's able to do, the stories he's able to tell, or even where, he's doing the Michael Jordan rookie card stories. I feel like if just a random person wanted to tell that story, maybe Jordan Brand is like, hey, we don't want you to tell the Michael Jordan story. You tell your story on this. So it's like, if you want to talk about power, he's Michael Jordan's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got it.
Number 24, Clot, Edison Chen, someone who's been on this podcast.
Yeah. I was advocating for him to be higher because I do feel like he's somebody who has a lot of power at the brands right now. I think Adidas is giving him a lot of resources. They believe in him a lot, and you can see that in just what he's able to do with shoes. He's not content to do colorways. He's doing daring things on sneakers.
I think this list is interesting because it's a lot of what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Well, also, I feel like you have to take in consideration some of the legacy of these brands where it's, hey,
agreed.
Your shoe from 15 years isn't going to get you on the list, but it might make the case of why you should have a place or a seat at the table. And Clot's done so much over the years that...
And Edison is a power player beyond that, too.
Yeah, when his name came up, we, of course, were the more recent things are the Adidas, but also those Air Force Ones don't seem like that long ago, which I like the blue one.
And also the Clot espadrilles. I know you've been wearing them a lot recently.
I'm a big fan.
He kind of previewed the concept that you can dye that shoe. I mean, you can dye any shoe for the most part, but that shoe was kind of made to be dyed, and he did one where there's like 10 different colorways of the shoe in various shades.
Yeah.
And it just looks awesome in my opinion. But
Had a little bit of like the Pharrell vibes with all the colors, but
Yeah.
yeah. And those are perfect summer shoe.
Why isn't he higher on this list? I mean, again, I was campaigning for him to be a little bit higher because I do feel like Adidas is believing in him a lot right now.
I feel like the work just hasn't shown yet, though.
And they're in a little bit of a transition still from going to Nike to Adidas
Yeah.
and convincing people that they can still do interesting things at Adidas and still capture some of that same buzz at Adidas.
I think the interesting thing about him too is that maybe sometimes we don't see it because he speaks to such a different audience, being a global brand with such an imprint in Asia.
For
That
sure.
sometimes we may not see the impact, but on the global stage, it's
Big.
huge.
Yeah, Adidas talks about what they want him to do in Asia. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm caping for him here, but when I was in Hong Kong
Yeah,
and
you
seeing
mentioned that.
how Edison moves around there at Complex Con there and seeing how many clot Adidas superstars I saw there
He's like
versus
another
what I
level
see
celebrity.
in New York. Yeah, totally different. And, you know, as with a lot of our lists, we are looking at this through the lens of North America and how we interact with sneaker culture.
Yeah.
Next up on the list, Undefeated.
Which I think next year could be way higher.
Sure.
I feel like that's going to blow them over the top.
Yeah.
The Undefeated Air Jordan 4.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I mean,
course.
but if it bricks, if they make
the 4?
no, I'm not saying. Hold on,
Okay.
hear me out.
Okay.
If they make, and I'm not saying it's not going to do well, but if they make hundreds of thousands of pairs of the shoe, which we don't know if they are or
Welty,
aren't.
what if I told you that somebody told me that they are making hundreds of thousands?
I know
of
you
pairs?
had briefly kind of floated that idea. I don't want to take
That's interesting.
your story, but it's
No.
He just said it.
No.
Yeah.
All good. Yeah, I don't have that confirmed again. We'll
Yeah.
put some info out there here and there, but I think there are going to be a lot of those. I don't know if that helps them or hurts them.
That's what I'm saying, but that's like my question mark on it. If it's like a limited release and then the shoes are super coveted once again, but if it's a shoe that's made in the hundreds of thousands, and yeah, it's okay, but it kind of diluted the shoes perception
Yeah.
over time, then I don't know. I don't know what it does.
Based on what I know now, expect way more of the latter.
Yeah, I just don't know. We need to see what the reaction is going to be on that shoe.
And Undefeated is a historically important Nike collaborator, one of their first collaborators, first sneaker boutiques, done a lot, established a lot in this collab world and sneaker boutique world.
The Humaras are even recently, like
Yeah.
I know we joked around about seeing
Office, yeah.
the Sunders everywhere. Humara's shoe, we just it might be our New York bias, especially working in the industry that we work in, but you just see that shoe left and right everywhere.
And it's a great shoe.
Yeah.
It's a great shoe.
They don't have a ton of energy right now because to me, the Humara is kind of a Monday through Friday shoe that you just walk in
Yes.
there and buy. Like they did the Air Force Ones. I like those fine, but those really sat. You could get those at outlets pretty consistently for
I think
years
they
after.
I was
made,
surprised
I think they
by
made
those, yeah.
way too many of those. I don't have
Yeah.
the thing, but just seeing how many just ended up in excess stock kind of makes you think
I
that
went to a sneaker store somewhere recently and you could get them for $40.
Really?
the one shoe I know you weren't too hype on it. I kind of like it. Is that they did the Saucony Grid Triumph, just kind of did a Mesh Boy shoe. It was just interesting to me because a brand like Undefeated's never worked with Saucony, and it's almost like the
Cool.
biggest brand that's ever worked with Saucony. So
Cool. Yeah, it's just Undefeated, again, very important over the past 20 years, not doing projects that I think have resonated a ton in the past 2 years.
But could all change soon.
Absolutely.
Speaking about Saucony, number 22, J Tips.
Yes. Friend
J
of the
Tips,
program.
Yes.
yeah, good dude.
And has some more heat coming on the way. And it's interesting. Like you think of Saucony right now, and to me, you think J Tips in
Yes.
terms of energy moments.
Yes.
And yeah, I know that you wrote the blurb about it. It's like not one of the bigger brands, but someone who's breaking through for a brand that is, again, not one of the
But it's almost like he
heavyweights.
got he got a better opportunity working with Saucony because the brand has given him, and I'm
Let
not
him
like
cook.
saying, I don't know what the resources exactly are that they've given him, but it seems like he got a fair shot at like making a lot of shoes and really doing the stuff that he wants to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a tough one. I think that you have to give him more credit for doing more with less and making exciting shoes at a brand that doesn't have the same cheat codes as a Nike or an Adidas or a Jordan. You know, he's not just getting thrown a Dunk. He's not just getting thrown an Air Max 90 or a Samba or something like that. So kudos to him for having to work even harder to put this stuff out.
But the fact that
I think the shoes are great.
The fact that he did that and he gets mentioned in the top 10 where it's like everyone's like going to say, oh, if you do a Nike, obviously you're a better collaborator than someone who does a Saucony, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the mentality of sneaker people.
Yeah.
But hey, it's like people have gotten airships and people have gotten random dunks that didn't hit, you know?
Yes.
And it's like
Didn't create near the conversation that J-Tips has with the Saucony.
Yeah, so
Yeah. But I worry, and I wrote this when I was writing about him, that it might place a ceiling on him, and I don't want to forecast that his future doesn't have a bunch of growth, but it's like, how far can you go with Saucony? I think would be my question if I was in that position.
I feel like I'm not saying that Saucony is this big, huge brand, but I've also feel like I'm not going to say that J-Tips was solely the one that made Saucony bubble, but with the trends and everything lately, with the whole mesh running shoe thing, I feel
Y2K.
like Saucony has found a pretty sweet spot in that to build a little like organic energy around the brand too.
To your point, I would love to see what he does at another brand, like maybe after these drops or one more Saucony.
Yeah.
Number 21 is a interesting one that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Lorenzo.
Fear of God.
Fear of
Athletics
God.
at Adidas.
Yes.
You got some news?
Came on the scene, though. Let's paint the picture. Came on
Yeah.
the scene when he went to Adidas. I remember we had him on the podcast shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
And any moves that Jerry Lorenzo makes, going to be big news, highly anticipated, going to be so deliberate. And number 21 on this seems low for him.
Yes. I think at face value, it does seem low because, again, power rankings, like he's one of the most powerful people in the streetwear industry, and that has translated well into the sneaker industry where people respect him because of everything he's done, of everything he's contributed. We've talked at length on here about how huge Essentials is and Fear of God is so big, but the project with Adidas hasn't really panned out yet. And that first drop, it felt like a moment, but you don't see the shoes. You don't see people wearing the shoes. And he's described it to us as maybe there was too much ambition, focusing on too many different things. And it's just, again, while he does have the pull, it's not panning out just yet. You can't say that this has been a big, impactful collaboration.
The only like energy that we've really seen around the collection was the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
You know, he made some shoes for Miami, NC State. There was that triple white pair that would seem like kind of like a quick strike to some extent that was there and gone. But yeah, you haven't really seen the shoes much. And people we were talking about it before. If you're like trying to base it on what have you done for me lately, some people could probably make an argument that he may have not even been on the list.
Right. It's a tough one.
And there's been some rumors about the status of the relationship, if they're going to renew, if there's contract negotiations going on. You talked to him before this.
Yeah. I was chatting with him briefly this morning. And one of the things that I think has been a setback for Adidas and Jerry Lorenzo in this is that it's kind of shifted a couple times during the course of his relationship with Adidas and Fear of God Athletics, what it's going to be. At first it was a basketball thing, then they changed to this and they changed to that. Lois Sakani just published something, like a thorough recap of what's happened between Fear of God and Adidas. And toward the top, she said, word on the street is that it might not be coming back. And I agree. I've heard some of the same things. That's been floating around a little bit, that maybe there was a contract renegotiation or something like that. I don't have any of that confirmed. We did reach out to Jerry about this because we wanted to know, is this really the case? And I could see that being the case given, again, that we haven't seen the shoes make a real impact. So I did reach out to Jerry Lorenzo for comment on this. He did give us an explanation. He said, this is from Jerry directly. He said, the partnership started off with too many ambitions outside of the purity of creating a single product. Jerry said, now for the final year and a half, the focus is simply there. He said, with Adidas, we have the Fear of God 2 coming at the end of this year, the 3 hits Holiday 25. After that, the future will be determined by the promise fulfilled by these next 2 performance shoes. Jerry said, in my mind, the 2 is our first true uncompromised basketball shoe. That's something he said to us as well before in just interviews as the first product was coming out, like, wait for the next one. So he went on to say the 3 poetically will be the best version of the promise dated back to December 2020. We might name this one the question 2 instead of the 3, LOL. Jerry said, as the future of the relationship is not clear, either way it goes, both Adidas and Fear of God Athletics will be in a better place after the 3 hits.
Okay.
So he's saying that there is more coming. Who knows over the long term what that means? And what he's saying to us doesn't necessarily preclude that there aren't contract negotiations happening right now. You know, I don't know that stuff for sure, but kind of saying, wait, we have more coming. I'm going to perfect this.
Okay.
And if anybody can do it, it's Jerry. But I think like we mentioned with the Salehe thing, it's still going to be a long, tough road because the way they came out of the gate just didn't hit. And you know how sneaker people are. Yeah. Next entry on this list, number 20, Welty, Pata.
Yeah. They I think it's another one where we're like, hey, gotta wait and see what happens, right? Because they got the chlorophyll Air Max 1s coming back out. Big shoe from 2009, right? That's the original release.
Yeah, 15-year anniversary of that, 20-year anniversary of Pata.
I know we've talked about it on end, how much we liked that shoe back in the day. It's been hit or miss with some of these reissues. We even saw it, you know, I think we even missed it when we were talking about the shoes coming back, or the re-releases of Grail level shoes. And I think like one of the first shoes that kind of tested that was the Bacon Air Max 90s. Not officially through DQM. Dave Ortiz or DQM or Dave's Quality Meat, any of those entities. But that shoe was a little popular, but it was also a shoe that if you wanted it, you could go and find a pair, which isn't a bad thing. But we'll see how this hits when it comes back out. But Pata did recently
TNs
that Joe likes with FC Barcelona.
I love them.
You like them too? Yeah,
love them. I don't just like them.
We don't want to go back too far, but we were missed to mention 2022, that whole wave Air Max 1 pack, the Monarch pair in specific, the orangish colorway. Those shoes were everywhere.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great modern example of doing a collaboration that was accessible but still felt special, and I think Pata has done well with that.
Good, like People's Champ sort of shoe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they haven't had any huge hits lately. I hope that the chlorophyll green one will be one, because that's a shoe close to my heart and one I look forward to wearing in an Oregon Ducks game in the near future.
Nice.
But just a brand and an imprint that you have to respect because of their historical connection with Nike, and they're doing decent stuff right now and have bigger stuff to come.
Definitely.
Next on the list, number 19, Concepts.
Same situation, I feel like, as Pata, right?
I felt like Concepts could have been lower. Dion, please don't text me about this. Annie, we love you. But I just feel like they haven't had that many big things going on lately.
I think very similar situation. Like you said, haven't had as many big shoes. Go back to 2022, same period as Pata. You had Orange Lobster Dunks, and then not as big as the Pata Air Max 1s, but that 3-pack of the Air Max 1s as well, which were everywhere.
Sure.
Yes.
And I feel like Pata does have a big history within footwear collaborations and Nike, not saying that. I feel like Concepts may be a little more output as far as like hype shoes.
Okay.
Definitely
go over just the long run. Especially like if you're talking North America bias. But they have a couple shoes coming out that I think they're not going to be the biggest shoes of the year, but I really like those Cayano 14s. There's 2 pairs. There's like a Rasta-ish colorway and a cream pair, and also they're flipping the Seal 999 colorway into the 1906. I think those shoes look amazing. So they have a couple good shoes in the pipeline. To just totally dismiss Concepts and say you guys don't have power in the industry right now is like
they
a little.
Do people receive it? This stuff that
I think that
well
people
right
still
now?
get excited about their drops, and I also think that
more than J Tips.
I just think that Concepts, like you said, power rankings. I feel like Concepts, like you were saying, more sway with the brands being able to do more of what you want.
And I think that Concepts, like Pata, but really maybe even stronger, like Concepts has that ability to, even if it's not 5 a year, there's 1 or 2 big ones a year. They always have
and different brands, you know, they do New Balance stuff.
The legacy that it's like built on. And they recently, it didn't hit the same, but like another re-release, they did the C Note 998s, which was crazy because
that feels so long ago now.
In 2013, when that shoe came out, it was considered one of the best sneakers of the year. Comes out 10 years later, 2023, and it just kind of like didn't move.
Register.
Yeah. Speaking of moving, we kind of got to move through this quicker because we have a million more to get through. Should we just try and give like a couple sentences on each?
Yes.
Okay, next one, Nina Chanel Abney.
So this is interesting because when the 3s were announced and the photos came out, everyone was like top 3 Jordan of the year. And then it seems like in person, what, people change their mind, or am I wrong?
I feel like it's still in the running for sneakers of the year list. It's definitely not the sneaker of the year, but it's in the discussion of making the top 10.
She's a relatively new collaborator for Jordan Brand who's done a couple projects that have people excited and is doing big sneakers. They're giving her, a lot in a Jordan 3. That means a lot to let somebody do a Jordan 3, so we know they believe in her and people are excited about the shoes. So she deserves a space, even if her resume isn't super deep.
This is the one people could have also argued great shoe this year, but if you talk about staying power and power in the industry, could have been omitted from the list too, just because she doesn't have a huge resume.
But I also think the shoe was that good. That's why, even if it was one, she made the list, because that shoe, she really nailed it.
But then if there's nothing down the pipeline, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Similar story for the next person on here.
Yes.
Clint Ogdena, Clint 419.
But also, same thing too, right?
Yeah, Clint from Cortez. And at number 17, off the Air Max 95s, we all know that they're cooking up. And we all know that those 3 packs of Air Max 95s last year, we had them number 3 on the Complex year-end list.
I would say that was those shoes, those 95s were bigger than the Nina Chanel 3.
I also
agree.
I would think so, yeah.
I also think they all aged great. I think the blue one was the most quiet pair. I still love the green, and then the black and pink is my favorite.
Wish I had a pair.
You see him with Ronaldinho, you see them, you know that Nike relationship is strong.
Nike is invested in him.
Exactly.
Yes.
So definitely looking forward to that.
More sneakers coming. You saw us leak them. Nike trainer Hirachis. Who's next on the list? Stussy. Stussy is one of those stalwart ones where it's just like they do a lot. Some of it hits, some of it doesn't, but you can't say they're not important.
But I feel like that's like the same argument you have with concepts. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
but Stussy is bigger than concepts. I think when it comes to sneaker collaboration,
of course,
the highs aren't as high.
Well,
but
Stussy's a bigger brand. And I think I mentioned it when we were talking about it in the meeting. We were saying this. I said Stussy's kind of like a dormant volcano.
You said that about Supreme, which is what I really like. Yeah, we'll sit on that metaphor for a while. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. It's
thing
your
with
bar.
Stussy, I think the Nike clothes are better than the shoes.
Awesome, but like
the clothes are
It's
awesome.
funny, I never think about the Nike.
They did the
apparel.
LD 1000s recently. Okay shoe, but it's not really going to be discussed as anything. I thought the coolest detail in that shoe was they put all the Stussy writing on the tongue.
Yeah.
But
Stussy's just kind of there, and I feel like that's a weird thing to say about someone who we put relatively high, or
they
brand
did those
we put relatively
pennies,
high,
the
but
black pennies with the writing on it.
people care about them. People go out and buy them.
Yeah.
They were okay. The last like cool shoe I feel like they really did were those pink Air Max 2013s.
I like
The mesh
those,
ones?
I was hating
those
on
are
those
cool.
at the time, but in retrospect,
Those were
them.
nice, and then they did the Spiridon.
Yeah, I love those. I have
too.
those.
Like they did
big
they've
pandemic shoe for me.
They've done some cool shoes in the recent-ish era,
I
but
think 16 is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up here, similar vibes. Union. Chris
In that
Gibbs.
undefeated Stussy kind of.
Oh yeah, all related to each other for sure. Chris
West Coast, East Coast streetwear vibes.
Yeah. All connected. Chris does a lot of the design work for Undefeated.
But you said high highs and then like mids.
Yeah, I mean, the Field Generals, I don't think people really care about the Field Generals too much, so I think Union is a tough spot with that right now, and I say that as the main Field General backer on this program and maybe in the world, but still, that Union is an important partner for Jordan, for Nike, especially when you think about the return of the Field General, and if you're anticipating that that's going to be a big shoe that Nike's invested in, and that's the first person they throw it to authenticate it, that means a lot.
Hit the power, but I feel like sometimes it's tough, and it's like kind of a gift and a curse, because Chris had him on the show, good dude, but he's such like a tastemaker, which is a great thing to be in the industry, but he takes like a lot of risks on the stuff he wants to do, because definitely the sort of guy that marches to the beat of his own drum, and it's paid off a lot for him over the career. But sometimes you'll take chances where Union got introduced to a lot of people in the sneaker space through very hype shoes, when Union itself isn't a very hype brand at all.
It's not about that,
So people are expecting Union to just be Jordan 1, Jordan 4, 24/7, and it's like, that's not what the store is about. at all.
Yeah.
So when they're doing these kind of left field sneaker collabs, people are
doesn't match the expectations.
people are like, wait, I want more Union 4s. And it's like,
more
that's
Jordan 1s.
That's not what Union is.
The one thing I would say about those field generals is like in the box, they look a lot different than they do on foot. On foot, they look a lot better than they look at after.
Okay, take them out and put them on.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Next up on the list, we have Supreme. It's one of those ones where it's like too big to fail and still one of the most important Nike collaborators there is. And also they do stuff with Vans and they get a Jordan once in a great while. So there are still big Supreme projects. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Supreme sneakers are as interesting as they were 10 years ago
kind of
or
a
even 5
travesty
years ago.
to some extent.
Yeah.
They
you
just
know?
have done a lot that have came and went.
Yeah.
And I think what you said, you know, highs is highs and the mids is mids. I think Supreme is kind of suffering from that.
This
a
is the
little bit.
brand. Sorry, I
Yeah.
kind of.
I loved what you said,
popped
though.
too early. I said Supreme's kind of like a dormant volcano where they could erupt with the most hype shoe
Yeah.
ever.
At any time.
But when they're not, you're kind of like, where is it? You know?
But they're still doing reasonably cool stuff. I think that they can still make interesting connections to sneakers through stuff like the Ramelzi dunks. They still get to do
Yes.
left of field silhouettes like
Yes.
the Court Posit. And even, again, when we talk about Nike looking to outside labels to authenticate shoes, throw them the DN because they believe in Supreme to
I
make
know
the
it
stuff
wasn't-
cool.
It wasn't that recent, but the 3-pack of Dunk Lows, the Star Dunks that they did at like the top of the pandemic.
Was it 3 or 4?
Blue, neon green,
Black.
black.
Wasn't there like a burgundy or something?
Sorry,
Yeah, 4. Yeah.
But those were huge.
Yes.
And it's kind of jokingly that I feel like the biggest shoe in the sneaker collaboration space, for better or worse, are the Supreme Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up.
It's
Those
one of those
are
things
everywhere.
where, yeah,
Those
it's like,
are everywhere.
We can't look, we talk about all the niche, cool sneaker
Those
nerdy
are
things, but you have to
everywhere.
say, like, look,
what
they do
percentage are
this
real?
one collab shoe and it's everywhere, and you have to give them a high spot or a relatively high spot
Those
on the
are
list because
everywhere.
of that.
But what percentage do you think are real?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on
But
that.
those are everywhere. That's a
Yeah.
good point. Number 13, interesting one. J Balvin came on the scene. Jordan 1. I really think everyone really
That was a
respected
groundbreaking
that.
shoe.
Yes. Talk about playing it safe. Did not play it safe
Mm-hmm.
at all. Crazy colors. Such a big thing for Latin artists to get a Jordan 1. Crushed it. The 2 feels like it came and went. And,
Yeah, but it's also a 2.
But
People didn't care about the
But I
two
feel like
that.
if you don't like, in no shots at J Balvin, we've had him on the program. I think he's a
You
really
said
nice.
I had beautiful hair.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
really nice
True.
guy. But I feel like to make the 2 work, you have to have like the real knowledge and workings of that shoe, like what Virgil did with the 2 low.
Don C.
That hit
Don
because
C, come on.
Virgil kind of really understood it. Balvin doing the cloud light up on the Jordan 2 just
Yeah.
kind of really wasn't.
Brick.
Yeah,
And then the 3
Big shoe.
knocks it out of the park.
Big shoe.
fastball down the middle too.
Yeah.
though.
Knocks it out of
Big,
the park.
easy shoe.
It is a fastball down the middle, but also that's okay. It executed at
hey,
such a high level.
The fact that Jordan Brand gives you the opportunity to do a 3, but it's not taking anything away. But like, man, if you mess up your opportunity on collaborating a Jordan 3, you should probably get your opportunity to collaborate on sneakers taken away.
Yeah, revoke your pass
Yes.
after
but
that.
I give him that grace because the 1 he took super risk,
Yes,
and then the
it
3
came
a
out-
little more subtle, but the right details, right colorways.
I'll never forget Scottie Pippen sitting next to
Yes.
us with like size 17 J Balvin Jordan 1s on.
Yeah,
It's just
what a
a
moment.
And then-
blast of
and then-
kaleidoscopic
it brings
And then
Wow.
telling us,
prismatic
that you don't wear, he doesn't
fever
wear.
he doesn't,
dream
he doesn't
of a
like bright
shoe.
colors. And
Yeah.
we're like, do you see what you have on your feet?
And we're going to give a bit more weight to big pop culture level crossovers here.
But
And J
it's-
Balvin is just like one of the biggest artists in the world.
But it's tough though because I feel like there still is a massive difference between an artist that they're working on the project, but clearly they have like actual sneaker people who are
Yeah.
working with
Frank Cook,
Frank Cook working with him to put the product out
Yeah.
versus these retailers that maybe they're designing the shoes themselves.
yeah, different level of resources.
12.
Jound,
Yes.
I'm the resident Jound guy by not my own design. That's
Mr.
a
Jound.
moniker that Welty has put on
Yeah.
me. I wrote here that Jound is kind of a tough one because so much of what they do doesn't really feel like collaboration because it's so subtle or so invisible. But I do think that they occupy a space that has like a lot of overlap between core sneaker people and people who are into footwear but don't want to be sneakerheads and they want something tasteful that's different.
Just cool enough.
Yeah, and I think that Jound really benefits from having that. And also, you have to give a lot of credit to them because they are one of the ones who have multiple brand partners where they can do a Reebok shoe. The Reeboks aren't moving like the rest of them, but they can do a Vans shoe, they can do an Adidas shoe, and they can do a New Balance shoe. So if you have Asics as well, if you have that level of sway with almost every big brand in the market, save for Nike or Jordan, then that means a lot put together in a cumulative sense.
Not to be biased though, but the New Balance stuff is where I feel like Jound really made its name.
You think they shine the most there?
Yes,
in the
those
footwear space,
Yeah.
like
bangers.
they've done a lot, and those shoes just have aged really well. And I know Justin Saunders from Jound is always been massively inspired by the whole Steve Jobs
aesthetic,
New Balance aesthetic. So it kind of made sense that it translated on those.
He has multiple standout classic New Balance under his belt. Yes,
They're
I
really
think
good.
so.
Classic, okay.
Because the green one,
Yes,
and then the gray and brown one.
yeah.
Is it gray and brown?
Well, he did the 99. Well, he did the 990 V3s, but then he did the 992s.
Yeah.
And then during that whole run, did the two pairs. Those came out well. 990 V3s again. They did 990 V4s. They did all those shoes, but
I love the navy blue one.
Yeah.
The all navy blue one.
the green with the white sole, I wear that shoe a little bit. I like
he has
those.
multiple hits.
Yeah.
I mean, what I like about the New Balance work for him is that I think New Balance sometimes looks its best when it's not trying too hard, and that is, to me, central to the ethos of Jound designs is just not trying too hard, making it minimal. So it makes a lot of sense like that. Next up on this list,
Number 11,
Action Bronson.
our guy. Call us biased.
Let us know if we're biased. Always.
We talk about hits under people's belts. The guy knows how to make a shoe. I always say it.
I thought we were being biased at first, just because he's a friend of the program. We've had him on here, but we like his shoes,
and I like his music.
But when the shoes first get debuted or released, and the shoes are so shocking or jarring to some degree, daring, people were like, oh, I don't know how I feel about those. Then they drop, and you see everyone on sneaker Twitter wanting to get the shoes, wanting to get their hands on them. So
here's what I would say. Around 20 minutes ago, we were talking about, they're in the mix, but like they're kind of quiet. And like when stuff gets announced, they're cool stuff, but it doesn't have that swarm of conversation. Action on release day
Has that right now. Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Yeah.
people are upset about it, but also you can't say that someone doesn't have the juice in the game if you're upset
That's what I'm
about
saying.
not being able to get their shoes.
That's what I'm saying. It's not all positive because the release, and he's been vocal about it, and sneaker Twitter and everyone trying to
But
get it.
the fact that everyone's
they
talking
care.
about it,
Yeah. I think 11
Also, I would say that
is a good
to
spot
me,
for
his
him.
catalog doesn't really have any misses in sneaker collaborations.
but it's also been very
Sure, it's
constrained.
concentrated, it's small, but you got to give him credit for that. I do look at this list and I think like, oh, power rankings is Action Bronson
Above Jound.
making more noise than or J Balvin.
I think so.
He's done way more shoes.
I think so.
Not
Yeah?
way more. But
Okay,
more
okay.
shoes.
And
I do.
I don't care about J Balvin's music. I love
and
Action Bronson's
also
music, so-
has he's. If you've been paying attention, he's been wearing the shoes for quite a bit, but he has 2 more shoes that he debuted this past weekend on the way: the Minimus Trail Trainer and also the Rebel Fuel Cell running shoe. So
That first colorway of the 1906, what is it? The light one that I wore yesterday.
Rosewater.
Rosewater. Walk into a room and see if not one person doesn't ask you what
That's
those
a nice neck breaker right now. Is that rose water that you spray me with sometimes when we're in the
I'll
office?
give you a spritz, yeah. Is that what it's called? Schwitz?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Spritz.
Speaking
I'll
of
give you a
getting
little
there.
spritz. 3 o'clock, sometimes he needs I have the
A
Trader Joe's
refresher, yeah.
Rosewater
Schwitz.
facial.
You're you're watching too much Sopranos.
Yeah,
For the
sorry,
Schwitz.
I messed up. But you would never take okay.
A
But
little moisturizing.
that is every
Splash by Baklava.
It's a great refresher. But walk into a room with those rose waters on for a given day, you'll get like, what are those? What are those? And
and that's a big part of what we do.
absolutely.
We're cracking the top 10 here. We're an hour into this thing. And we
Yes.
still have 10 to go. I feel like
But hey,
this
if we're not giving you an episode every week,
Well,
Give
maybe
you-
we
give
go
you a little
older.
something, a little
Stay
more
with
to-
us.
Yeah,
Stay with
there
us.
we
You
go.
got
A little
time.
more fat to chew on.
Yes.
A veritable buffet of sneaker opinions and facts and leaks.
Yep. Number 10, Comme des Garçons, CDG.
Putting that stuff on.
JLP bias.
I didn't even argue that much about it, but you know I'm
But you-
CDG locked,
They have
dialed in.
They have the juice with Nike.
Yes.
They
They
you
have
want to
the
talk
juice
about
with-
actual power.
Multiple brands, yeah.
And you said that these aren't, you're not that big of a fan, but
I
the
said that they're
lookbook,
not good, and I'm right.
No, the lookbook to me, that,
You think you're Tyler Mansour right now.
Gonna
no,
get you the big pants.
nah, but shouts to him, he had him first, I think.
Comme des Garçons get to do what they want with a bunch of
Sunders,
different brands.
Sunders.
People care about it. It's not the buzziest stuff
But I
because
feel
they
like
do
the
so
other
much of it.
brand stuff. The problem is that the Nike stuff hits, but I feel like the other brand stuff doesn't really hit.
Like what, the Solomons?
The New Balance stuff that they do, it's
Oh,
just
I'm still.
A lot of the New
He told me
Balances are
not
kinda
to get the
forgettable.
black New Balances, but I'm
They're okay,
still
but
thinking
buddy.
about them.
Save your money.
when you talk
We'll
about
see.
like
Buy
the
Bitcoin.
fact that CDG is making New Balance stuff and then no one's actually really like talking about it or going for it, it just kind of it's
Because
not-
it's fully triple black. My Pegasus, did that get them at number 10?
2K5s.
2K5.
just one of those powerhouse collaborators that I don't want to give them the same too big to fail label because I do think they have plenty of interesting moments, even if they're ones I don't like. Joe's wearing one of them right now, but
Remember when they made the Air Force Ones with the dinosaur on the toe?
they've done some bizarre, totally don't need to exist type shoes. Nike Flyknit racers with the bow up front.
The Shocks with the gold chain through them.
yeah.
The S&M Air Jordan 1s.
You know what I think of here, and then we'll move on to the next one, is when we had Ian Ganoza on this podcast a few
Yes.
months ago, a gentleman who's been involved in collaborations from a huge range of partners at a big range of brands. And we were asking him about Comme des Garçons and Rei Kawakubo, and he was like, she signs off on everything. She's still very involved. There's still a deep connection between
And I was
Nike
surprised
and
because sometimes
CDG.
people think that, like, you know, when you get these big brands where it's like the brand does the shoe and you
Yeah.
just say, oh, that's okay. And you said how much she was involved in it. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Next up on the list, number 9, Wales Bonner.
Told this story before when I'm filming sneaker shopping. The celebrities come in all the time. They are looking at the wall before we start. And when I tell you how many times they go over to the Wales Bonner Adidas, it happens so many times.
Yeah.
And then to be honest, you see them on people with very, very high level taste.
This,
level.
this is the one where when we were making the list that people on the team were asking if we were being New York bias by this. Do you feel like we were being New York bias?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a shoe that's
Okay.
important beyond New York. Wales Bonner's Sambas, that is, Grace Wales Bonner.
Yep.
I think that the Samba is such a huge shoe over the past few years, and nobody made it cooler, in my opinion, than Wales Bonner through the metallic pair, through the different pairs she's done. And if you think about how much, again, the brands believe in her, or Adidas specifically believes in her, she's going to get the opportunity to help them bring back the Superstar, a sneaker that they want to ignite going into next year. So she's the person making their hottest shoe hot.
I kind of had the thought recently about it, and I'm going to say shout out, good friend of ours. I don't want to say honorable mention to the list, but almost like kind of like the female Gary Aston at Adidas with like digging into the archive and finding these models and like taking stuff and taking risks on it. That's necessarily
You're saying Grace Wales Bonner is
like
the woman version of Gary Aston.
if you take the Spezial line in the Wales Bonner line, there's like some similarities on it, like different audiences, but like kind of going towards the Adidas archive, having a true understanding of what the product means and being able
and
to
such a cool lens on
and
it.
being able to interpret it in a way that stays true to the product, but also making it cool for the fashion kids too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's awesome to see someone like that. That's not such a obvious choice for like hype partners succeed.
Good work, good catalog, impactful.
Number 8, Salehe Bembury.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to say it. I think he could have been
Higher.
2 spots. I think he could have been 6.
because of what? Because of how wide his catalog is
Yeah,
right
and even
now?
I think he could have jumped.
We also
above
didn't have the
7
news of
and
the
6. We'll
of
get
the
to.
Puma. We also didn't.
Yeah,
basketball.
Puma helps him out. Yeah,
If he
when
nails
we
that-
made this list, we didn't
Yeah.
have that news. Yeah, I mean, the Crocs stuff alone, Crocs plus New
Change
Balance.
the game. Change the game.
Bigger than a lot of anyone
New
who's down on this
Balances-
list.
I love. Just the Crocs thing. Just change the game.
And Salehe takes more risks. We spoke about this earlier again. I don't want to revisit his whole catalog in this small space, but more of a designer than a lot of these people. A lot of these people are collaborators and they do color ups,
Or as Ronnie Feig calls himself, a colorist.
right. But Salehe is a true designer and somebody who's going to push shoes into new spaces.
The 1906s were big this year.
Also, no matter how you feel about him, he made a Crocs sneaker, the Juniper.
Yeah.
That's big. That's when everyone is, you talk about colorways and things like that. Sure, Crocs is popping right now, but he made a sneaker for Crocs. That's a big feat.
Yeah. Next up on the list, again, we talked about Salehe a lot already, so we don't need to go through there too much. Actually, now that I'm looking at this list again, sneaker collaborator power rankings, I'm wondering if we put this one a little bit high. Cactus Plant Flea Market at number 7.
I think Salehe could have been 7 or 6,
so.
but
That's just personal take because it's like the Cactus Plant stuff. I know it's been big. It's just not.
Every Cactus Plant shoe is a big deal, right?
And also another person and brand that's taking risks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has the liberty to do stuff on sneakers that most people are not allowed to do.
And those Air Force Ones, the latest drop,
Yeah.
are like the cool guy Air Force One.
How come I don't have
Those
them?
pink, I don't know. Those pink ones are like,
Magenta colorway.
those pink ones are like,
You saying I'm
so,
not a cool guy?
Maybe.
I
So,
think the biggest
so sought after.
the biggest ones that Cactus Plant has done were the Dunks.
Mhm.
The
Crystal cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. To
Those
be
are all-
honest, they're good
I
at
don't know.
7. The Cactus Plant Dunks, the Flea 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
there's
the Flea 2.
They generate a lot of hype.
The Grinch shoe.
Yeah. I think 7.
And
now
they're
that I
with
think
Nike,
about it,
and Nike
Yeah.
is the biggest brand in the space, so that means something. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not that excited about
I
this.
guess
I don't
it's
think
just
I own any Cactus
That's what I'm
Plant
saying. I think it's
Nike
tough where
shoes.
I feel like try to be pretty objective putting these lists together where
Sure.
you're like what moves the most, but when you're just like, hey, none of the Cactus shoes I've ever like been, hey, I really need that.
Never went out and spent your money
those
on.
Dunks.
It just kind of makes it tough for me to say, yeah, they're the best, you know?
Yeah. But still big. Actually, I do own a Cactus Plant Nike shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have that. Let us know in the comments with all this stuff. You know, we're willing to admit it's a subjective ranking. So if you think stuff should shift up, we're not necessarily going to do it for you, but we like to hear your
This
You
was
make
an
your own
interesting
list.
one.
Make your own list for sure.
This was an
Share
interesting
the Google
one.
Doc.
No.
Yeah, put your list in the comments for sure. But this was an interesting one. Number 6, Bad Bunny.
This is another one like we were talking about with J Balvin, you know, where it's different, right? Because Bad Bunny, just off of his name alone,
Yes.
is gonna shoot himself past 50% of this list
Yeah.
just off name recognition.
Because
Like
he's a global superstar.
he could just make a shell toe that says Bad Bunny on the heel, and then it would be a shoe that sells out instantly, whether the product is good or not. You know, and his product's been okay. I feel like he's kind of been in this formula where he's made one pretty good shoe, and then they've kind of milked it colorway after colorway after colorway, which feels not as exciting as, well, you're like, oh crap, this is cool that he did it, and then it starts to get a little watered down. But
The Gazelle was great.
but the
The
Gazelle,
latest one.
I feel like the
Gazelle,
Gazelle, not that he was in a bad spot, but the Gazelle brought him back into the conversation.
Yeah, and just again going back to power and influence at the brands. If I work at Adidas and we have Bad Bunny on our roster,
It's huge.
I'm going to give so much preference to Bad Bunny. I'm going to use Bad Bunny as best I can, and I'm going to look to him to make stuff cool and bring more people into the brand. So you can't overlook that. I think that he's just one of the biggest power players Adidas has right now.
He's one of the biggest
Huge.
artists in the world.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And Adidas being the number 2 sneaker brand in the world, he's up there in that top tier with him when we speak about Edison Chen and Grace Wells Bonner and Jerry Lorenzo.
I mean,
Bad
he even
Bunny.
popped out in those Adidas Taekwondo.
Those had
like
the
a month
internet in
ago.
a tizzy.
Yeah, it's like people were making up a bunch of lies on the sneaker internet about that shoe.
Next on our list, number 5,
Talk about power.
Teddy Santis.
Power.
Power.
It's interesting because he's not the number 1 New Balance collaborator on our list,
But he's putting
but
them,
he has the most power
To put-
within New Balance.
Yes.
You think so?
yeah.
Well, I would say everything that he's been tasked to do, because
Right.
he has all the ALD stuff. We've seen what he's done for the 550.
Yeah.
He has the 1000,
You can't
1906,
overlook the 550
1000.
thing.
860 V2. He's done a lot of great shoes with
Yeah.
ALD, but just the fact they give him that Made in USA line, where
Yeah,
it's like
he's like creative director over New Balance Made in
and
USA.
the roster he's put together.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you could even argue that he could be higher. I feel like
Yeah.
maybe he just hasn't had. I mean, I know the 1000s have been great, but it's been a few months since he's had like a true hit shoe. But
I don't think you need to look any further than what Aimé Leon Dore did for the New Balance 550 to speak to Teddy Santis' power in sneakers. And just, that was a shoe that nobody cared about. Probably
Forgotten.
How many people at New Balance could have possibly told you what the New Balance 550 looked like before that?
Stephen Smith.
Of course, Stephen Smith could hop on the phone right now. If I text him, he'll call me and we'll have a 40-minute conversation about the 550. I got to see if Nate Van Hook texted me back.
We'll have a 550-minute conversation about the 550.
And I'm not giving them all the credit for making the 550 what it is, but that shoe went from total non-entity to powerhouse volume.
But even just a color palette, like the way that he kind of revolutionized like the color tones and spectrums that people want to work in.
That was like one of the shoes where like you hear people be like, oh, how is that person successful? And it's like, oh, well, they hit big on this. That is like, oh, that was a game changer for New Balance business. Oh, they hit big on the 550.
The funny part is
still in when you talked about the Foot Locker and going, they're still all over Foot Locker.
Remember, hey, he did the 990 V2s, that green, white, blue and yellow pair, and there was like the riot on Mulberry Street for the sneakers, and the police had to shut it down.
Of course, but that wasn't. Again, this is about what have you done for me lately?
I understand, but I jokingly say this in my head that I realized that how big the 550s were and how big ALD were, because usually when we're on the train, right, and you see someone in like a pair of like semi-hype footwear and you look down, they kind of give you that look up where like they're in our space and they kind of like recognize you and like don't want to like come and take a picture all the time, but you get that like vibe where it's like, okay, maybe I watched the show or I've seen your clips on Instagram.
You're saying your barometer for how much someone's into sneakers is whether or not they know who you are?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like typically if you see someone in like a hype sneaker collaboration on the train, more often than not, I get like a look or someone might say hi, where it's like, hey, we're in the same world. They recognize the work that we do. Cool. Awesome. I genuinely appreciate it. But the 550, when I saw that shoe, I'm like, oh, ALD is like big in our space. And you just see people wearing on the train. Never even a look
different
up.
Consumer.
Yep. Completely different. And I'm like, look how big it's look how big it's gotten.
Yeah, for sure. Next up on this list, James Whitner, social status, Ama Maniere. Somebody who has
Whitaker Group,
big amount of resources at Nike. Somebody who they are very invested in. You talk about people who they believe in,
power,
who they want to make shoes with.
Constant motion.
Yeah,
he's like a power broker. I feel like in the footwear space
for sure. You know, adjacent to Michael Jordan, adjacent to Nike execs,
owns a ton of sneaker stores himself.
Yeah, that's the thing too that you have to give James Whitner that because he has that retail empire, which like a lot of these people can move units and they can put stuff on shelves through other channels. But like James Whitner is really out here moving sneakers in his own brick and mortar stores across the US. That's a big deal. Few people at Nike and Jordan have more shoes than he does right now. The buzz on them isn't quite what it used to be. And I
would
think
agree
that's part of the curse that comes with when you get a lot of SKUs from a brand.
Let's see how that 3 does though, the black pair.
Yeah, I think people are excited about that one. I like those. People are excited about that one. I thought the 4 was good.
Well, he had sneaker of the year with the Jordan 3.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the 5s I thought were good too. I like the black
those
5s.
You see those around a decent
I like
amount.
the black 5s.
Yeah, I like the black 5s. It's
but the
just
12, I know we had him on here when he debuted it.
So many.
It was okay, but the 12 kind of, they were at outlets. It didn't really hit. And you can't say, hey, you had a shoe that went to outlets.
Yeah, because he's had so many.
You don't have power anymore in the industry. You know, he just did the New Balances. Those are okay.
Air Max 95's coming.
Sure. I think that he's somebody who could be higher on the list. Not that he cares greatly about being higher on this list or that there are too many more spaces on this list. But I do think his work is still in question because of the scandal around his name and because of the whole backdooring thing and the legal dispute involving money floating to China and millions of dollars of sneakers floating around and things like that. So I think that because of that, I don't know anything about any of his projects getting pulled as a result. And I believe Nike is still backing him to a large extent. But I do think were there not those questions around his name, that his profile might have a little more shine on it right now, or Nike might be celebrating him and Jordan might be celebrating him a little bit more than they are right now. If there weren't those kind of questions about him right now.
I think the thing with it too, just to be honest, is that not that the shoes aren't good, but he's been dabbling in kind of the same color palette for quite some time now, and it's good. But when people see the shoes, some of them look so similar to other ones where
Yeah.
people are like, oh, another one of these. Like, can you give us something different? You know?
Yeah.
Number 3, I feel very good with.
Yes.
Deserved. I think the right place. I think it's awesome. Joe Freshgoods.
Welty's kicking his feet right
Joe
now.
Freshgoods, number 3, hit after hit.
Yes.
You want to talk about someone
Consistent.
who really has like their pulse on what's going on in the
Yeah.
space? That's Joe.
Yeah.
Exciting shoes.
And you want
Wonderful
to
storytelling.
You want to see him win. He's like
Yes.
the sort of guy who he really came up from this space.
You do, and he is. You do, and he is. Like, of course you want to see him win, but it's like, think about it. The 1000. I love that 1000.
Yeah.
Then the 990s. The visuals. The black and white 990s.
Yeah.
Hit after hit.
Belly shoes.
Hit
Yeah.
after hit.
Yeah,
Consistent.
Joe is that guy. I don't want to compare him to J-Tips too much because I feel like it's kind of a lazy comparison sometimes people make of comparing J-Tips to Joe Freshgoods. But when we spoke about J-Tips' placement on the list earlier on, and I was like, oh, is there a low ceiling on him because of Saucony? Somebody could have said the same thing, and maybe we've even said it. Is there a low ceiling on Joe Freshgoods because of New Balance? And like, he's blown that ceiling off and he's blown that roof off and helped take New Balance to a new level through his storytelling and through his flavor at the brand, which is something they didn't have before he came along, and really contributed to all this hype and momentum and genuine revenue growth that New Balance has had over the past
I don't
5
think
years.
it's necessarily comparing J-Tips to Joe Freshgoods as far as their work go. I think it was just a question where it's like, hey, J-Tips is going to connect with the culture in this space, and he's going to a brand that maybe hasn't had that voice in a while, and let's see if he can get people who come from that space to be into the brand in the way that Joe Freshgoods did, where it was kind of unprecedented, his connection that he made through New Balance.
And shout out to Joe Freshgoods for using his resources too to do stuff that's more than sneakers, putting together art shows and community spaces and really expanding the portfolio to show you he has more to give than just colors on shoes.
And the thing too is to show his power in the space where, his biggest shoe to date, for better or worse, not my favorite, but the 9060, right? Because that's like, that shoe just blew up.
Yep.
And then there was that thing going around like a month or two ago on Twitter where there was a girl who was wearing a fake pair.
He said
and like
most
bootleg work that he's done. There was a lot. And then you look at the replies and mentions, and no one was like, hey, these are fake shoes. It was just a bunch of women on the internet who were like, these shoes are awesome. Where do I get them?
Yeah. Nice crossover moment for him. 2 more to go on this list.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we get to the top of these lists, it's not that much to say
because
it's such obvious choices.
Number 2.
But I don't feel like this isn't, people may not know where we're going with this. It's not left field, but it's...
If you've listened to the whole list and you haven't heard these 2 names yet,
I agree.
you know where we're going.
Number 2, Ronnie Feig.
Kith. Still.
Yeah.
Retail empire, collaboration empire, tastemaker, person who has the ear of almost everybody at every brand.
Here's the thing, is like, we don't have to tell you what Ronnie's done with sneakers over the years, but there's been a lot of these companies and brands that have gotten a chance to make all these shoes. And it's not saying that Ronnie has 100% hit rate on all of his sneakers, because none of these people do, but it feels like he's such a shoe guy that it's always shoe after shoe after shoe after shoe that they're good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just adds up over time.
Just having that strong, consistent catalog.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't know if it's because I'm close with him. I don't think it is. You know how many people sent me those Kith Marvel Asics? Because it's a great pack. The ones from last week.
Ronnie can do it at a bunch of different levels too. If he can make the mainstay, again, I keep using this term. I don't know if it's like the total correct way, but like Monday through Friday shoes where you go in and you have Kith classics on the shelves that are basically SMUs that he does, that you're not trying to make people line up for the shoes, but you can go in and get an Adidas there that you can't get anywhere else. But then he can do the high point hype shoe of a Marvel Magneto Asics.
And the brands trust him to do this stuff where he's just always breaking silhouettes. And also, I think we talked about it when he was on the podcast, where it was like, hey, it felt like for a while he was really focused on building Kith, the brand.
Yeah.
Right. And then maybe he's not like he stepped away from building Kith because they're just opening stores out in Malibu.
Yeah.
But it feels like over the past 2 years, he's really gotten back to being that like collaborator maestro. And it's just been good shoe after good shoe.
Pippin maestros that they did.
Good shoe after good shoe after good shoe. And especially with everything that's in vogue right now with the footwear industry,
Yes.
that's really his sweet spot, and it's really given him a position to shine.
And we talk about the hype shoes. I told him this, my favorite shoe of recent years, not even reselling that much, not that that matters, but it is a good barometer, of course, the black 1906.
Yeah.
Probably the one shoe that has been in my rotation in 2024
Balances.
more
Yeah.
than any shoe, the black New Balance 1906. I got another pair on ice. On ice.
Okay, number one.
Sorry,
It's
shocker, right? But it's true.
This is the part where I have almost nothing to say because it's just like
We've said it.
it's so boring to me because it's just like
Duh.
Travis Scott.
Well, I feel
He's
like
the guy.
any of the top 10 lists, by the time you get to one, it's like, well, you already know what.
Travis Scott makes more Nike shoes than anybody else.
And he makes your favorite Nike shoes too, bro.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh. They believe in him. They just put him in an ad for a baseball thing. You know, I'm sure we're not that far away from the Swingman Jack division and a
Needle mover.
building in Beaverton with his name on it. They're still giving this guy all the resources and trusting him to do every shoe and making.
feel
him
like-
make
Why
pairs
wouldn't
of them.
they?
No, for sure. I'm
And
not.
I feel like this
can't blame
year-
John Donahoe.
this
There's other
year
things I can
really-
blame him for, but
Upgrade. Not that last year he still would have been number one on the list if
yeah,
we did it.
He's the biggest.
Year before he still would have been number one on the list if we did it.
Mm-hmm.
But him doing that signature shoe, the Jumpman Jack
T-Rex,
TR,
CRT,
yeah.
XX Rex.
may not be our favorite shoe,
It's certainly not.
Moving,
right?
though.
but people like it.
Yes.
And there's some anticipation around him wearing it. And I know he's done all these silhouettes, but what do we know Travis Scott for?
Jordan ones.
Jordan 1, especially
Yeah.
Jordan 1 lows, right?
Yeah.
And when he's finally moved out of, he's still doing it, but moved out of that lane
Yeah.
And still
improved that, hey, I can do my own thing too. You have to give him credit for it.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
also think about this. Again, power, how much brands are going to rely on him. He's got a signature shoe at Jordan Brand, and he has what appears to be a signature shoe coming out from Nike Sportswear as well.
The Sharkadon?
The Spiridon looking thing on bottom. So who has done that? Nobody's done that before.
And also, imagine if he did a 3. Imagine if he did. Well, he did a 4, but imagine if he did a 3.
Exactly.
He does a lot. Imagine if he
Yeah.
did a 3.
Yeah.
I feel like do you feel like if Travis Scott, anything Travis Scott wanted to do, Nike would do it for him?
I do.
Okay, to me, I think of when you ask this question, the most protected silhouettes, and I have to ask myself, if Travis Scott went to Reggie at Jordan Brand and said, I want to do a Jordan 11, would Jordan Brand let Travis Scott do a Jordan
I
11?
think so.
I do. I do.
Really?
I think so.
People who work at Jordan Brand, let me know
Or,
if you would.
like
I
I kind of think no. I
I
kind of
was
think there are still
thinking,
things
why,
that are
it's so protected?
sacred. Yeah.
I was thinking
Has
more,
anyone?
A Jordan 11 collab? Well, there were like Soul Collector ones back in the day on like the Jordan 11 low.
So wait,
and the
is that
Biz
a
Comfort
thing?
and
I
things
didn't
like
even
that
realize.
count.
Is that a very protected thing?
I think Jordan 11 more than any.
Interesting.
they're a
silhouette.
cheater, but
Interesting.
but I was thinking more along the lines, and I know this sounds crazy, but what if he did like a brown Nike mag?
No.
Do you think if he
Joe's about to get up out of his seat and walk away.
No, but if he asked,
no.
if he asked
Now
John,
I'll text Tinker.
if
No.
he asked John
Tinker's not texting
Donahoe
back.
to do that, do you think he would turn down Travis?
A 1 of 1
Yes.
or no? I don't
Yeah, I
see
think
that
he would,
happening.
I think somebody would say, "Sorry, Mr. Webster, we're not doing another."
So if he
mag."
wanted to bring back the Yeezy, but do it as a Travis Scott colorway,
No, I don't think they would do
Okay.
that. I think there are still things that he can't do.
No, that's hour.
Hey,
hour
you
and
gotta
30 in,
ask-
he went too far.
that's what some people want to hear,
The
man.
Nike mag.
Yeah, that's the thumbnail right there,
Oh.
and that's the headline. We finally got it.
Can Travis
You
bring
people
back
are
the
only
Nike
going to click
mag?
on lists and spicy stuff. Here we go.
Yes.
Travis Scott Nike mag ? Exclamation! All caps.
There's a million views right there.
We're back, baby.
We got him.
Let me ask you this, since this is something I've been very interested in and thinking and talking about a lot. Nike has this strategy of creating a more diversified lifestyle portfolio that relies less on their 3 most popular silhouettes, the Jordan 1, the Dunk, and the Air Force 1. To me, those silhouettes are right in the range of what Travis Scott does and what he sells the most of. Would Travis Scott's work potentially suffer in this future where Nike is having a lifestyle portfolio that doesn't rely so much on those shoes, or can they still just make those in limited numbers for him and he can
I
eat?
feel like- wouldn't that help him?
I don't think so.
Well, if they're gonna still make that product for him and then
Yeah,
not
yeah.
have the
If
the
they still
market
make it
flooded.
for him, I'm just like, if they're trying to throw him other shoes that are less proven,
Yeah.
is it harder for him? I don't know. Did I go too deep?
He went a little too deep. But Howard, listen, you're allowed to ask questions. I didn't know you were going to go there. But
the number one. Wait, I went too deep. He said.
I'm talking about
Okay,
him.
cool.
Come
Yeah.
on, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
I've been having fun.
Let us know in the comments if Travis could bring back the Nike Mouse.
The brown.
Yes, a brown.
And someone send us a thumbnail.
mock.
Yeah, so
A
we can
mock-up?
put that on Instagram with like, again, all caps. Breaking.
All right, listen, this is a long one. But we figured,
Breaking. We broke some news.
yeah, we'll give you a long content. Enjoy your weekend.
Can I? Sorry, one more thing, Joe. I forgot to mention when I was talking about my
Sure.
shoes that may endear you to them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
They had Jim Jones at the launch party for these in Baltimore.
I mean, send me the link.
Purple?
Send me a link to buy
Purple
'em.
City Bird Gang.
There
Send
we
me
go.
A link to buy it, and
There
send
we
me
go.
the picture of Jim wearing them.
We'll put it in
Capo.
here for sure.
Yeah.
The
All right,
crispy
listen.
BB Simon.
We want to know what we got right, what we got wrong. Drop them in the comments. You don't have to do all 25, but maybe even a top 10.
If you're giving us your feedback on the list and you say this person shouldn't be on there, you have to tell us who should instead or where to
yes.
move that
You can't
person.
tell. You can't tell
yeah.
us the list sucks if you don't give us your own list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we won't see you next week. We're off, right?
right.
Okay.
We'll be back the week after that.
Watch
Okay.
this twice.
Yes. You got a lot of content to hold you over. So, all right,
welcome.
everyone. This has been the Complex Sneaker Show. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Please like, subscribe, comment your list in the comments. We will see you in a couple weeks.
Go watch Cody Rhodes sneaker shopping.